Happy Friday and welcome to Screen Junkies Universe. It's Fan Friday. We have a lot of great questions to get into today. It's starting with marketing. We're going to talk about that Halloween trailer. But before we get into it today, we do want to acknowledge that both Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade took their lives this week. Obviously, our thoughts are with their families, their loved ones. Very, very, very sad. And we just wanted to take a moment to direct you in our section, in our description section below. We will have a link to a suicide prevention hotline. There's really nothing to say about this that hasn't been said, other than it's very, very, very sad, and that many people have been faced with this, either suicidal thoughts or have lost loved ones to suicide. I lost a very good friend to suicide about 5 years ago, and if you can, reach out and know that you are cared about, and even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment, you are, and there are people, and you will be missed. Okay, that said, as delicately as I possibly can, if you guys have things to add.
No,
anything?
well said.
Yep.
Okay, please do take a look at that link, share it today. I will be sharing it on social media as well. And now to our regular program. Let's start with some fan questions. Derek Stack asks, we got two that were a little bit similar that are going to be the bulk of our first segment today. Derek Stack asks, what movie were you most turned off by for the trailers and marketing alone? And Fluffy Pro asks, what's the most misleading trailer? So we've kind of put those together to show some examples of misleading marketing. And remember, we had talked about this a lot around Mother, and how heavily that was marketed as the next Rosemary's Baby, as a horror film. Not what it was. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, marketed as a comedy, really wasn't that. But here's one of the more interesting cases, which is Drive. A Michigan woman sued the distributors of the movie for false advertising, which is both awesome and hilarious.
So petty.
Because it's so petty, but it's because the movie was truly, it was marketed as a really fast-paced sort of like action movie. Not that. I don't know if you've seen Drive. Not that at all.
It was a handsome boy in a jacket movie.
He was such a handsome boy.
Yeah.
That's
So quiet, so handsome.
So synthy.
I mean,
so pulled back on dialogue. I have a theory about him that he's always like, it's what the characters are thinking and emoting. It's not what they say. And I'm like, you don't like learning your lines, Ryan. I think I think we're unpacking the truth.
He spent too much time picking that jacket out with wardrobe.
Yeah.
he had tons of lines in the script, and he was just like, nope.
No, but he actually did. He pulled, when they were working on the movie, Ryan Gosling pulled a lot of the dialogue out. He wanted it to be very, very sparing.
That's that's such a baller move.
Yeah.
Memorize anything.
I'm not saying this.
Yeah.
Do you have a different line you happen? No. I'm just not going to say
It's
anything.
not gonna
No,
do.
I'm going to give it to you with my face.
I like it.
Dan?
Why would you sue? It's so dumb. It's like, I didn't like this movie. I'm suing the company that made it. It's like, if it had Ryan Gosling in a car, you got what you were advertised. I hope it got thrown out.
Well, yeah, I can almost,
Sure it did.
in a universe, understand when they take shots that weren't in the movie and put them in the trailer. But, like, the fact that this was all shots from the film, it's like, you didn't think, like, the music in the trailer matched up enough with the tone of the film? I don't understand what you could sue for. That said, misleading trailer. And there are plenty more.
Plenty more.
Plenty
What's the one that got Spencer's panties in a twist?
Well, there's one that my panties remain untwisted.
Okay.
But I think it was Spring Breakers when I saw that it was like a Harmony Korine movie, and it was marketed like, woo, spring break. It's like, that's not going to be what the movie is. And it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, but it did. So Magic Mike also, the first one, not the second
Right.
one. The second
That too.
one is what the
first one
first
was
one
marketed
advertised.
like the second one, yeah.
So when I saw it, it didn't actually make me angry. I was like, this is so much better, because I liked the weird Soderbergh two-lane blackdrop male stripping movie.
Yeah.
Like, I was into it. How about you?
I was much more the road trip. Let's just take our shirts off and pretend to jerk off in the 7-Eleven sequel movie.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get that. I meant what pissed you off in terms of marketing, but I also like that answer.
Right.
This didn't make me mad, but to tie back to the first question of what movie were you most turned off by trailers, and I think we've talked about this before, but Kung Pao was a really funny movie where a guy just took a bunch of I will lose in a movie fight to you over this. I'm
Kung Pao's hilarious.
Go there. It's a really funny movie where a guy just inserted himself into an old kung fu movie and redubbed it, and then unfortunately put 1 4-minute sequence where he fights a computer-generated cow.
In the Matrix style, which
In
was
the
what
Matrix,
every single
yeah.
other thing was parodying at the
And
time.
that is what they sold it around.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see that movie for years until college, and someone was like, hey, sit down and watch this with me. And I was like, the cow thing? And I love it.
should rewatch
I absolutely
Kung
love
Pao.
that movie.
Can
You really should.
Maybe I
I'm
need to
saying
give it a
this
second
with
chance.
like profound, like I'm impressed. I'm excited for you. I'm curious. You got kind of a Kathleen Turner thing going on today, Joe. You
Yeah, too much yelling
what's
yesterday.
Going
Husky
on?
voice.
Have some
I-
whiskey and
I needed
cigarettes
to-
for breakfast.
No, I needed to take up just a second job, and I didn't want to Uber, so I've just been doing phone sex.
Yeah. Good.
Oh, wow. Okay, they still do that.
Well then, hello again.
Lawsuit
I wanted it
has
to be
an
an update
update.
on phone sex.
still being litigated as of January 9th, 2017.
Still
Still being
litigated
litigated.
as of over
Still-
a year ago.
You know what?
Oh
that's
my God.
that's actually it's funny, but it's actually pretty fascinating and important in the sense that if it does go forward, you have to imagine that marketing would be impacted. People would no longer be able to just like with the witch, they could no longer just sort of like decide to trick you because
But
if
that's
they
The
so
did
person
it,
who brought
open
this
to
lawsuit needs to be
interpretation.
litigated. The
No.
courts are for important things. Sorry.
no.
Oh
No, you're right, but I do think it's like
I'm
It's
sorry,
really interesting.
ma'am. Your lawsuit against this chemical company that did major harm to the environment is on hold because someone didn't like a movie, and the judge has to worry about that one today.
what is she suing for though? Exactly.
False
She want
advertising.
but what does she want back?
Advertising and anti-Semitic rhetoric within the film.
Oh.
Right.
Rhetoric within the film.
Okay, I missed that.
Oh, that part was. Huh. Wait, so how, like, is she suing for emotional damage? Billy, let's unpack this lawsuit.
Come here, Billy.
Yeah,
Stop
come here,
yelling
Billy.
at the
People
void.
people yell at us when you're off mic for too long.
I want a Billy cam, just so you guys know. As much as you want a Billy cam, I do too.
I want a camera.
I should
want
just
a
wear
JTE cam,
yeah, I'll
too.
wear a GoPro.
So this was from the Hollywood Reporter as of January 9th, 2017. This had been, I guess, thrown out at one point.
So it's on appeal.
Yeah, this was in Michigan. He initially rejected the class action, but this lawyer is basically still going with it.
Taking her money.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
much money is she suing for?
I think she's trying to get it.
$7.50.
She's
Yeah.
trying to get it pulled. I think she's
Pulled
like
from what?
I don't know, like cease
From
and desist,
existence?
like distribution. So this
Oh
would
my-
be pulling
That's
it
amazing.
from the iTunes, the digital stores, pulling it from brick and mortar retails.
Oh,
That's
boy.
amazing.
Wow.
But
my
yeah,
everybody
this
gonna
basically
watch
this
Drive
lawyer
this
is just
weekend
like,
in
how much
person?
longer can I drag out this appeal?
Wow.
Oh,
For-
boy.
I mean,
All
he's
right.
living
I'm glad
it up.
Lionel
Wow.
Hutz is able
Yeah,
to
right.
fight
All
her.
right, yeah.
Hollywood upstairs law school.
Lionel just bought a boat. Good for
goodness.
him. He's driving a boat.
You know
Yeah.
a trailer that really turned me off that actually it's kind of it took me away from seeing the movie for like 2 years, and I didn't see it until afterwards, was Spy. Because
Yeah.
Melissa McCarthy
It
had
had
done
her falling
so
over and
many
stuff, yeah.
comedies where it's like I'm the crazy comic relief, blunk, fall over, and Spy was just so like I'm a crazy cat lady, look at my wigs, oh I'm on a moped, whoop I
Whoop,
fell
it
over. I'm
fell.
like I have no interest. I think at that time I'd seen Identity Thief. I don't have any interest in seeing another one,
Yeah.
and they so mismarketed that movie. It is so much more
It's so
clever,
fun.
and it's got
Yeah.
heart,
Yeah.
and it's like she is so like they took the most like parts where she's like a parody of her character and like put it all in the trailer. And it's like that movie has so much more going for it than what they advertised, and it actively
But
drove me away from seeing
It did well.
And
did well.
it did well, but for me, it totally drove because I've been burned by too many bad ones, and they sold it as another one, and it was actually really good.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned The Witch. That's not the trailer.
I
That's
wasn't mad
the
at that.
studio's
That
fault.
was the studio, yeah.
Because they were on, I was on a huge Catfish binge, the show, at the time that The Witch came out, and every single ad break on MTV was an advertisement for The Witch saying it's the scariest movie ever made, and I cannot think of a worse market to sell The Witch to than
Horror fans.
Mainstream.
no,
horror
than
fans.
people watching Catfish on MTV. Like as far as like,
getting
hey,
cat-
16-year-olds, come see the scariest movie you've ever seen. And it's like
It's in
this
Old English.
quiet old English,
Yeah.
no
They
sound.
get to the theater and the witch pulls off its blonde wig and
Well,
they're like,
yeah.
catfish!
Yeah,
It was the
exactly.
marketing-
The witch catfished the audience.
But you know what's weird is that what The Witch is fundamentally is like the greatest recruitment mission in history. Like the entire movie is a recruitment mission. Have you seen it?
No.
Well, then what I said does not make sense to you. But I assure you, it is accurate. The Gray is another one that people complained a lot about because they thought it was going to be a wolf punching movie. It was not. It was an exploration.
Touchdown.
Yes, of masculinity. I will say this: 2 of these cases, I was pleasantly surprised, including The Gray. I thought it was a lot better film than it was marketed
Still
as.
wouldn't have hurt to have a wolf fight in it.
I was very
they
upset
shot. Oh
that
my
they did not
God!
have
For
a
the
Liam
love of
Neeson
Christ!
And they did. They just put it
shot the
during
wolf,
when the credits,
yes.
I guess, were score.
They did shoot a wolf fight, so that you know. But it was a much stronger ending for me. Where
That must have looked terrible. And they're like, "Ooh, we gotta."
No, it
wanna
wasn't
cut
that.
this.
It was a creative choice.
I
But the mother did piss me off.
I really want to get for next Valentine's Day. I've always wanted to have the Gray themed Valentines
Yeah.
professionally made with just sad quotes from that movie with like hearts and stuff all over them, like they do with Star Wars.
Yeah.
All right.
It's my
From the
dream.
Gray. Well,
Yeah.
I think we
Make
can
that
make
happen.
that. We have like
Just that
paper.
guy sitting by a lake and he's like, "I'm done."
Yeah, we have access to Photoshop. We can make your dreams come true
Yeah. I'm
gonna do
like
this.
today.
Hook it up, fans.
I still think The Gray's a little different, though. Like,
what?
imagine if The Meg came out and it was about a Jason Statham hard scrabble survival story at sea, and then it cuts right before the Meg chomps him,
I
and
would
you
be
never
so
have
yeah,
any
no, no,
Meg
no.
action.
Yeah.
It's
I'd be
like,
so mad.
you know, I get it's just like, well, I'm sorry, it wasn't what you. But again, at the same time, that was
It was
That's a bait and switch.
That was
very
misleading
not-
marketing
yeah.
because that trailer specifically told me that Liam Neeson is going to strap mini bar bottles between his fingers
fight a wolf.
and fight a wolf, and it didn't do that. And I said,
That was
oh, I'm
like-
sorry. It's like, listen, that's what you sold me.
Oh, how about Amazing Spider-Man 2, where the
God.
final shot of the movie is in the trailer
in
of
the
him
trailer.
whipping that manhole cover at Rhino, and
Yeah.
that's the credits. That's
Yeah.
right before credits.
It's the worst.
Well, there was a movie recently. We won't say what, but the end of the movie is in the trailer. Like
There's
the
a big
final
movie
shot
coming out.
is in the trailer. Like, come on,
Very
guys.
frustrating.
Mother is the one that pissed me off the most. I will say. Period. I think though.
Not a home run.
Not a home
Not a home run.
I remember the
home run.
billboards just being like, "It's horrifying."
Oh, they actually ripped off the Rosemary's Baby poster.
Yeah.
They
look
they
at that.
really wanted you. Not. I don't think it's this one, but they really, really wanted you to think that that's exactly what it was. It is not.
I remember
Ah, and not money either.
about every 10 minutes I would check in with Dan and just be like, "Is this win it?"
No.
And Dan would just be like, "No." I feel like,
I'm the sole member at this table of the Mother Defense Squad.
You're a mother lover?
Mother lover, exactly. I think
you're a
that-
mother boy.
Yeah, well, we won't go into it in this
Mother.
episode, but yeah.
Mother.
Sweet, sweet mommy.
Mother. It's not as bad as people thought. It's because it was marketed this way. People went in expecting
Well, yeah,
something
I mean,
that it wasn't.
But I do. I think Mother and the Gray, for me, were the biggest bait and switches. Like the Gray was like if you told people the Revenant was Ong Bak. It was not.
Yeah.
It was not that.
How about Sweeney Todd? Not. I mean, look, if you've seen musicals before, you know it's a musical, but nothing in the trailer that would give away that it's a musical.
Oh,
just
yeah,
looked
that's
like
true.
Les Mis,
Yeah.
too.
Like
a
Les Mis.
Nurse's
Nothing in the
Rhymes or
musical
something.
Les Mis is like says they're going to
They
be singing all the
refused to
time.
Why are
That
they
is musical.
breaking into song?
You know what else did that? It was Frozen. Frozen didn't have any singing in the initial marketing
that's a
for it
Disney
until
movie.
but they didn't have any singing in
Yeah.
it initially for Frozen. I didn't know it was because I saw an early screening. I had no idea it was a
I
musical.
mean, if you got to save the only good song in the movie for the movie, you know, I'll almost give them credit for that they didn't blow "Let It Go" in a trailer because those other songs weren't worth advertising.
Oh, come on.
You don't like the troll song?
you don't want to build
Yeah.
a snowman.
We're building ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love is an open
All right.
door.
I guess Joe doesn't want to build a snowman
Yeah.
later.
No,
Jeez.
I'm a
Papa, can you hear
I'm a
me?
big I'm a big hardcore Tangled defender. I'm a Tangled boy.
I like that Tangled. But you know what else I'm wondering is if the marketing and trailer we have seen for an upcoming movie is selling it appropriately. Mick Swagger CM wants to know what we think of the Halloween trailer. And I say, you know what? They've gone, Billy and I were talking about this before with JTE, they've gone full Sarah Connor on Laurie, and let's go Grambo. I am in, and I am a big Halloween fan.
Rambo.
Yeah.
On that movie.
This trailer looks awesome.
It looks awesome.
It looks amazing. However,
Honest trailer starring name.
I
Grambo.
wanna jump in a time machine.
Credit Roth.
And I want to go back as an old man, indulge an old man here. I want to go back 20 years, those 20 years ago, to a movie called Halloween H2O, which was the first movie to bring back Laurie Strode and promise that they were going to ignore the continuity of all the previous sequels.
This is ignoring it, though. You can tell in the trailer it really is.
But they've already done one where they ignored the previous ones too. So I'm just saying, I hope and pray that this one is better than that one. Because this is the second time they've done this, and I love what they've done with it, and I love the setup in the trailer, and I love the look of it, and I hope that it's not going to be a Charlie Brown situation, because I've already been through this once with Halloween where they said like, we fixed it, go watch it, we fixed it, and then it's just like, this is the same thing. Why is Adam Arkin running around doing all this stuff? You got Dawson's Creek people dropping like flies and.
Wasn't it that it was that Josh Hartnett, wasn't it?
Josh Hartnett, Michelle Williams,
yeah.
Other people.
Others. I thought this looked cool.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt gets an ice skate in the face.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. How bad could it be?
Yeah. It's not great.
No, this looks
great.
This looks awesome. It looks like a super cool throwback, modern elements. I love the score. I love John Carpenter's music, and it didn't give too much away. A couple scares that might work better seeing them for the first time, but my interest is peaked. It's peaked hard.
I'm glad they didn't mess with the score. That was one of the things that I was happiest about, because you know how sometimes they're like, oh, it's great, but we need to change it for the modern audience.
Yeah.
You don't. You never need to touch that thing. It is perfection. It is the best score in history. I stand by that statement.
Yeah, if they had dubstep John Carpenter's music, I would have been very upset.
Did Rob Zombie not do that? Or did he hard grunge it? Did he grunge the Halloween?
I hated that movie so profoundly. I hated everything.
He's
I'm trying to
psychobillied
remember. I'm trying to remember what he did, but he like did not get what Michael Myers was at all.
Michael Myers come to kill you. Yeah. He and Jason Momoa have similar vocal styles.
I am a mass slasher. Yeah.
I think it's being revealed how Joe got his Kathleen Turner voice.
Oh, yeah.
Today.
I moonlight as a Rob Zombie impersonator.
You
phone
excited?
sex.
You excited about this, Joe?
Yeah, it's me, Rob Zombie. What are you wearing? Yeah.
That is a very specific kink. Like
It
that
is.
is a really
Joe-
targeted
That's why I'm making so
market.
much money right now.
Like that is really niche.
I mean, Jason Blum producing a remake of Halloween 40 years after that ignores the stuff with Jamie Lee Curtis, with John Carpenter producing. I mean, that's like a dream
It is,
thing,
yeah.
right? I mean, this could be. I can't wait. If I owned any of the other Halloween movies, which I don't, I would look forward to throwing them in the trash once this one came out and
Yeah.
acknowledging 2 Halloween movies.
Well, I would say like I actually defend Halloween 3. It's not a bad movie. It's
No.
just not what anyone would have been speaking of marketing, would have been expecting. It wasn't a Michael Myers movie.
No.
But if they had decided to actually just go kind of like anthology with Halloween and have very different stories every year, that could have been cool. It's not a bad movie. I stand by that statement.
I haven't seen it in
Having
long
said that,
enough,
I'm looking forward to the return to form.
I guess I always sort of err on the side of you showed me too much. That's just the way my brain is default wired now, especially in sort of the age of franchises where you don't need to show me anything. Like, I'm going to go see Avengers 4. You don't need to show me footage. You don't need to show me key Thanos moments. I'm going to go see it. You can put Marvel on screen for 2 minutes, and I'll be like, okay.
I clapped when Marvel showed up.
Yeah, I clapped the Marvel show. Yeah. Sadly, yeah. This could have been the score and then one single shot of that kid saying, "Can you close the door?" And then the babysitter closes the door and it won't close, and then it like just cuts to black. I would have been good with that.
Yeah, but they have to get a mass audience on board,
Yeah, I know.
right?
Yeah,
No
I
more
agree
trailers.
with you.
No more trailers.
Yeah, just
It's
we're
never
done
gonna
now.
happen.
They don't need to
show
Blumhouse,
me anything
no
else.
more trailers. This is a great
We
one.
saw Michael. We saw Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yep.
We saw the things.
We saw the things.
We saw some.
Don't show me
some
anymore.
very scary. I got a jump scare moment that freaked me out. I actually, we've always talked about like with trailer reactions, like, oh, nobody really reacts that way and like actually emotes. No, they heard me this morning.
Did you actually freak out?
I actually screamed. I don't like it.
Wow.
And
I'm
I guess,
excited.
Got to film those. That's
Yeah.
YouTube
Well.
gold.
And I get because I feel like a response is coming where it's like, oh, so like Halloween showed you too much, but Wreck-It Ralph didn't show you enough. And I think the point of a trailer is supposed to give you sort of the feel and the tone, and I think this trailer did that. It was like, here's how it's going to feel, here's what it's going to be about, whereas Wreck-It Ralph was more just like, here's probably all of the jokes. This is probably all of the jokes in the movie, without really giving me a feel of what it's going to be about or something like that.
Yeah. So it was a good trailer, well done, and now we're done watching
don't need to see
any of the
anything
marketing for
I'm
Halloween.
done. I'm sold.
Yeah, no
I'm
more
done.
watching
We're
anything
gonna go see
else.
the
I don't
movie.
need
Can't wait
to
to
see
see
it.
We will
Yeah.
never talk about it again unless we are desperate and have nothing else to talk about, and that is a Screen Junkies promise.
Yep.
Tune in Monday when we talk about
Halloween.
Trailer 2.
Gabriel wants to know what's
TV
your
Spot 7.
what's your favorite underrated work from a famous director? He says, I love Catch Me If You Can, for example. I don't know if this is underrated or not, but I've talked a lot that Martin Scorsese's The King of Comedy is
Sure.
maybe my favorite film from him, which is I don't think is well known as his other movies. Certainly, like, what do you think?
I'm thinking.
Yeah. Or even After Hours is
Okay.
another one that
Never
I
saw that
really,
one.
really, really like, and I think is lesser known. I like the works of Martin Scorsese that people don't. So, like Last Temptation of Christ. And you're gonna yell at me. I know you are, and it's okay. Kundun. Yeah, come at me. Come at me.
There's
Oh, it's a beautiful movie.
It's a beautiful movie.
This isn't underrated critically, but it's underrated in the sense that nobody really, outside of, I think a lot of cinephiles talk about this, but between The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2, Francis Ford Coppola made a movie called The Conversation, which
that's a
is
great movie.
incredible.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
Gene Hackman,
One of the
he
best movies
plays
ever.
Yeah.
an amazing movie, and I think the reason that nobody talks about it is because it is bookended by The Godfather and The Godfather 2, and so like when people think Francis Ford Coppola, they think those movies,
Or Dracula.
or Dracula, not really,
I will,
or Apocalypse
yeah.
Now.
How many people out there, when you hear Francis Ford Coppola, think Dracula? Now, I
Not
think
really.
The Godfather
No one.
1 and 2, because I've seen those a million times, and Apocalypse Now, because that's my
Yeah.
favorite horror movie.
Dracula. All right.
Be honest.
I go
Watch The Conversation.
with
It's really good.
It's great.
probably not underrated at the time because it got a bunch of Academy Awards, but Barry Lyndon for Kubrick. It's so fun. It's so awesome. I know it's slow and boring to some, but if you just look at it as like a 3.5 hour long medieval Scarface, of like the rise and fall of this like crappy gangster to like lorddom and then back down. It's just so epic, and I don't use that in like the internet epic win tacos way, but like it's truly epic. Like it's just lol,
We've
so
got a green
epic.
light, a show called Epic Win
Wait,
Tacos.
Whatever.
Where we talk about TV spots.
Yeah,
And
it's
all
just
we do
like
is react to them.
the man's life is epic. The way it's filmed is just so amazing. Every single frame is an oil painting, and I love that movie.
I want Spencer to do the marketing for all of the movies from now on. That's what I'm. If you think Scarface and epic doesn't mean the way we use it at all. I mean, it's become what it is in the common vernacular, but doesn't it mean like, doesn't it denote just the kind of storytelling that it is? It's not necessarily epic, like epic. It's so big.
I don't know.
Yeah, very well. Joe Starr.
We're just here to talk about movies, not about your words.
Okay, let's look up epic.
I guess to keep the John Carpenter train rolling, Assault on Precinct 13, I think, is a really, really good action movie. Big Trouble in Little China is my favorite movie of his, which I feel like the cult of that has grown over the course of my life. But Carpenter visited my school, and my friend was sort of his PA, his like assistant for the day, and so he was like, "Oh, he's in between talks. Just come like hang out." And he was so excited to not talk about Halloween for like 30 minutes. I just got to like sit and chain smoke a pack of cigarettes with John Carpenter and talk about Big Trouble and a couple of his other movies, which
cool.
was really cool.
Why have we never heard that story before?
It was great. That's why I sound like this.
This was last night.
Yeah, this was last night. I went home.
Blasting cigs with J Carps.
me and J Carps just blasting cigs. And then the other one I was thinking was Bound.
Oh yeah.
Great Wachowski
Yeah.
movie that I don't think is ever in a conversation about Wachowski movies.
Yeah.
Just a really, really cool, sexy thriller.
Yeah, I love Bound. Wait, and you also mentioned Big Trouble, my Thanksgiving movie. Can you tell us a couple of the key? Do you remember anything that he said or anything that struck you out of that conversation?
That conversation. Look, I was.
It was mostly just
Yeah.
coughing and hacking.
I was.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I was 22, so it was a lot of me just blathering while he was like, but he was talking to me about like watching westerns while he wrote the score, and how they would laugh a lot when studio notes would come back because they knew they were making a much different movie than like the studio was expecting them to turn in, and then just a lot of understanding nodding while I just talked about Jack Burton as a symbol of America and blah 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 blah
Sounds
blah,
about
blah,
right.
and explaining his movie to him.
And he was super patient with you about it.
He was so excited to seriously. He was so excited to not talk about Halloween. Like he said that.
Well, that is a thing of note to say. Epic. Noun. 1. A long poem, typically one derived from ancient oral tradition, narrating the deeds and adventures of heroic or legendary figures.
There you go, Barry
or the
Lyndon.
history of a
Aha.
nation, aka Barry Lyndon. Hey, want to pitch what the conversation is? Because I feel like we didn't let you do that. Do you want
the
to tell the
conversation, the
person?
movie.
Oh, the conversation. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's about Gene Hackman, and he's this like kind of PI, and he eavesdrops on people. So he'll set up tape recorders, or he's got this like long range system, and it's just kind of like he's unraveling this case, and there's just like a lot of there's a scene it's like almost Hitchcockian where he's trying to flush something down the toilet, and the toilet keeps overflowing, and it's like this. It's almost like Norman Bates sinking the car down in the lake, and then it's just gets. I need to watch it again because it's I've seen it maybe only once or twice again because it's underrated. I've seen The Godfather way more, but The Conversation I think is such an amazing movie. That's
My
an email
computer
agree.
agrees.
But no, it really was one of those that's just like, oh, have you never seen The Conversation? I was like, you know what, I haven't, and I sought it out, and I need to become more familiar with it because I remember loving it, but I have seen it so few times that like I don't even know it. I don't know it as much as well as I'd like to.
So how about this? We've talked about this and teased this before. What we're going to do is assign ourselves a little bit of book report homework here, folks.
Oh, my.
Let's all watch The Conversation within the next 7 days. 7 days. And then we will come back next Friday, and one of our segments we will talk about it a little bit.
I've seen it already. Do I have to rewatch it?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
TJ wants to know.
Fresh
Between Doctor Who.
Yeah.
TJ wants to know, Upgrade ended suddenly.
Kind of.
Well,
guess.
I don't know. It felt like a. Anyway, not to contradict your police work there, TJ. What movie seemed to end and left you hanging? I mean, I can understand the feeling of wanting more, but I actually like that.
Man, I gotta jump on the gray again.
Oh, come on! That ending
did.
is perfect.
It did.
It's
Oh, no, it's
beautiful.
not.
It is beautifully done.
It ends. Are you counting after the credits though? When you see the wolf?
I'm absolutely counting that bullshit post-credit scene that everybody uses to
right.
defend the gray.
Let's see. Couple.
We just wanted a wolf fight.
Just wanted a
I just
wolf
remember
fight.
the ending, and I think that's the closest my wife and I ever get to suing a movie for false advertising. Is when a movie ends and we just go,
No!
What?
I bring up this movie a lot because not just because I like it a lot, but I feel like not enough people see it or talk about it. Was Nocturnal Animals? Remember that ending
Yeah.
when she's sitting at the thing, and then it's one of those movies where it ends, and then you immediately go like, "Wait, what happened? What we got to talk about this." So I love that example. And then also the Mario Brothers movie when the princesses bust through the door with the guns and they're like, we got to go back.
Yeah.
What happened?
What
We'll never
happened?
know. We'll never know.
Easily on par with the ending of Back to the Future.
Yes.
I've always loved the ending of the Holy Grail.
Yes.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where like they're making their big final charge to the castle, and the police just come in and shut the movie down, and it's over. It's just like, again, it's surrealism, and it's. I just love the fact that that's where any movie would have, but they could, because they don't have they're not going to stage that. Obviously, I just love they got out of it. Just like, they lay the seeds. They keep cutting back to the dead person and the police. It's like, okay.
In the spirit of something is a true classic because you keep getting something new every time you watch it. Like recently, someone was like, "Joe, it's a literal cop-out ending," and the water, my Kaiser Sose mug fell out of my hands, and I was like, "How?"
Say cop out.
I want his cop
Literally.
out.
Yeah.
I've watched that like every day for most of my life. How did I never just go, "Oh, it's cop out"?
No Country for Old Men is a movie that ended and I just kind of went,
Oh yeah.
just kind of okay.
Also, 3 Billboards.
3 Billboards.
Three
just sort
Billboards
of
is funny,
ends,
just kinda
I sort of I tend to like movies like that end that way. I thought The Gray ended perfectly. We didn't need that. It was him, the director, who was saying that's not what this movie is about.
Well, they should have talked to the studio
Well,
before they sold it based on that. I'm just saying, I have nothing against the.
I know I'm in the minority, and everybody
story.
wanted more wolf punching. That is a beautiful meditation on actual masculinity. Liam Neeson in that movie is the embodiment of the alpha man, and I mean that in the positive implications of that term. And then you have embodied in his cohort, who is also in the Marvel movie. What's his name? In The Gray. The co-star of The Gray.
I just wanted you to keep.
He's also in the Marvel movie. He was in Civil War. Come on.
Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo.
Yeah.
Frank Grillo is the embodiment of the toxic version of that. And they are there. The entire movie is about what it means to be masculine in the sense that it's those positive traits in any given human being, a leader.
And interestingly enough, those alpha beta terminology is not from humans, but from wolves in captivity.
Which they should have fought.
I think we've reached it all today. Okay, final question is, do you want to talk spoilers or do you want to talk about Meg? I leave it to you three.
I think we talked about spoilers a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
All right, we're going to talk about the Meg.
Yeah.
Luke wants to know, besides the Meg, what movie
Wait,
are you
we're not
most
talking about the
excited
Meg
for?
Just degrade me here, Roth.
Wait a
You say we're
minute.
going to talk about the Meg.
Did you just
Do you see how frustrating that is when you set up something, an expectation, and then you don't do
You
that
marketed
thing?
that question terribly.
Don't neg the Meg.
Yeah.
Oh, no one's more devoted to the Meg than me,
Put on your
sir.
scorpion jacket and quietly walk away, Roth.
You divorced the Meg, if you'll remember, in
I
favor
know.
of Jurassic World.
It's conscious uncoupling.
I do. Besides the Meg, what movie are you most excited for the rest of the summer?
I'll talk about something we didn't cover in our trailer talk video, and I think we got rightly raked over the coals for it, was Widow. Or Widows?
Widows.
Widows.
Yeah.
Yes.
Woo, that looks fun.
We missed two, actually. We missed Widows the other day, and then we also missed the remake of Suspiria. Thank you. Words.
Yeah.
Widows looks amazing.
Really looking forward to that.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, Steve McQueen, who directed 12 Years a Slave and Shame, among other movies, is the director of Widows. It looks amazing. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, go check it out. Dan, what
Of
do you
the
got?
big studio fare, of the big blockbusters that are left, Mission Impossible.
Yeah, that'll be a fun summer movie.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Like, as far as like summer movie, like blockbuster season, I still that's another movie. One trailer, just fine. Didn't need the second one. Had
But
movie
Armie
pass,
Hammer
so I've seen it,
reloads
like, 8
his
times.
arms.
He did it in the first one too. They did the same shot, both trailers. One trailer would have been great for that
whatever.
movie. Yeah, what'd you say?
Armie Hammer.
Armie Hammer.
He's Man from Uncle.
Come
Right?
on.
They were both in the
They
Man
were
from
both
Uncle.
in the Man from Uncle. Henry Cavill.
How many spy beefcakes do we have?
We've got the answer may surprise you, and I'm shocked because
Henry Cavill was the
that
man from
mustache.
Army Hammer.
Like,
Army Hammer was the Russian guy.
yeah.
And neither of them were doing their native accents.
Who was Army Henry?
Army Henry? You're thinking of Henry Hammer.
Hamill Cavill.
Henry Hammer was the British one.
That is
Harvey
an
Carver.
Oscar-winning
Armand
mustache,
Hamilton.
so I'm a
Armand
little
Cavill.
embarrassed for you because the fact that you couldn't recognize the mustache alone is a little bit upsetting for me.
But no, Mission
5 points
Impossible
from Gryffindor.
and Henry Harmer, Camry Hammer, and his reloading arms. I'm excited.
Cameron
for
Manheim.
More than Ant-Man or any of the other ones that are left. It's Mission Impossible.
Joe?
I'm pumped to see Michelle Pfeiffer in Ant-Man. I think that's going to look cool. That was it's been a long time since just a poster that was just like, here's a person. Got me remotely excited for a movie, but she looks cool in her uniform. Michelle Pfeiffer's neat. And then, yeah, Mission Impossible for me. I think the last few months I've been walking around going, you just did the future! From that first trailer. So, yeah, I'm excited about that one.
All right, all excellent picks. What are you guys excited to see this summer? I'm curious. We're going to see it pretty soon, but I am curious about The Incredibles too, only because it is so, well, for a lot of reasons. One, the first one's really, really good. And I just wonder, they seem to be touching on things that are very current with that film, so I'm wondering how much they've pulled that off. And it's so long awaited. I have a lot of curiosity around that.
Go.
What's the other one called? Sorry to bother you. I'm
Yeah,
going
Sorry to Bother You.
Sorry to
No,
bother
it
you.
is Sorry to Bother
Sorry
You.
to bother you.
Oh,
That one.
yeah,
looks
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I've heard so much about that one too. That one I really want to see.
Actually, I may have a discussion for us after this show ends.
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one as well. There's so many great movies coming out, but you guys have some homework this weekend, and that is to see Hereditary. We've talked about it before. We'll talk about it again. Go see Hereditary. I don't want to hype it too much in terms of like this isn't gonna do your taxes and
don't
solve
wanna
every
market it
problem in
badly?
your life. I don't want to. Well, as we've discovered, Spencer's the marketer here, not me.
He fights a wolf. She fights a wolf.
It's the scariest horror movie about a wolf fight of all time.
I've heard anecdotal evidence, by the way, of people having not pleasurable theater experiences already with
Oh,
this movie.
no. Like people on
which
their phones and stuff?
No, like people. It's a very slow movie.
Yeah.
And there's a particular sound that is a
Yes.
recurring thing in the movie that I hear people saying that their theaters just keep doing it through the whole movie, which really detracts from the movie and is extremely annoying. So if you're going to see Hereditary, and you should,
Yeah.
I hope you have a good crowd, because it is the kind of movie that if
Do
you
you
have
mean
a bad crowd,
people in the
they're making
audience
the
are
noise.
making the
Oh,
noise? Oh, that's
that's
so
annoying.
annoying.
which is the worst, because the sound design is one of the best parts of
Yeah.
this movie.
So glad you didn't see The Grudge with me.
Yeah,
We're
may,
just.
may you have a good crowd when you see.
Oh wait, that's the great. Yeah.
Oh, great. That second time. Egon. Anyway, I hope you have a good crowd when you see Hereditary, because it's really good.
Yeah, it sucks.
It sucks if you have a really crappy crowd.
Yeah. Go
Go
see
see
it
it.
though.
It's
Are
great.
you guys going to see it? Are you going to take the
Yeah.
homework? Yeah. We're going to talk about it this weekend. It's a very interesting film. I think very well marketed film as well. Worth seeing. And thank you for joining us today, Spencer. It's been a pleasure. What do you want to plug? What are you going to talk about? What do you want to do? What do you want people
the
to watch?
concept of Fridays in general.
I love the concept of
Yeah.
Fridays too. Thank you. Joe Starr.
I got the movie Fight These Dummies yesterday. It was fun. You should watch it.
That was fun. I told them yesterday afterwards that was perhaps one of my favorite, if not my favorite, movie fights to do, just as a competitor.
Yeah,
It
that was
really
a
good
great
time.
show.
Fun. Thank you.
Dan, what do you want to plug?
Yeah, to Hereditary. We're doing a spoiler breakdown. If you see it, if you like it, if you have questions, Roth and I are going to attempt to answer our own questions.
We're going to suss out what our questions are.
and decode the movie a little bit, because it's a fun movie that you don't get a lot, where there's so many things to go back. I saw it for a second time last night. I showed Roth right before the show. I have several little scribblings on pages of little notepad notes that I want to compile, and yeah, it's one of those fun movies. You don't get them very often that you can kind of decode and be like, oh, I didn't notice that. Oh, that's cool.
It's a good one. And so was that fight. I agree. Go watch that. That's a ton of fun. You know what you should do? We did a chat yesterday on the state of fandom. Go watch that. And then to lift your spirits after that, go watch the movie fight. and then come back here on Monday. We'll be here. Thank you, Henry Hammersmith, for joining us. We know that you're out there, and we just wanted you to know that mustache is on fire.
Henry Hammersmith.
Army Camel.